Stingy Jack, come in.
Professor, did the storm cut your electricity again? Can you believe it? He said Halloween isn't even a real holiday, it's just the same cheap marketing trick as Valentine's Day.
That's not true, Jack. Halloween has a long and fascinating history. If you like, I can walk you through it.
Fine. But you will tell them how Jack became Jack-o'-lantern, right?
Of course, your story's the perfect finale. But first, let's start at the beginning. From sacrifice to candy, the dark origins of Halloween. It's the night of October 31st, over 2,000 years ago. The fields are empty, the harvest gathered. As darkness falls across ancient Celtic lands, something shifts in the air. This is Samhain, pronounced So-in, the most sacred and terrifying night of the Celtic year. For the ancient Celts, Samhain marked more than just a seasonal change. It was the end of the old year and the beginning of winter, what they called the dark half of the year. As the sun's power visibly weakened and days grew shorter, a palpable anxiety gripped communities. Everything had to be harvested before this night. If anything remained in the fields, it would be destroyed by malevolent spirits returning to Earth under cover of darkness. But the real terror of Samhain lay in something far more profound. The belief that the boundary between our world and the spirit realm, the veil separating the living from the dead, became dangerously thin. This was a liminal time, a threshold moment when two worlds could freely penetrate each other. At sunset on Samhain, honored ancestors would return to their homes. But so would potentially malicious entities. The Celts spoke of the Sluark, swarms of restless dead who could carry away the unwary. The Celts marked Samhain with communal bonfires, often built on hilltops. Families would extinguish their hearth fires and relight them from these sacred flames, a ritual of renewal that symbolically connected each household to the community, and perhaps to the sun's life-giving power during the darkening season. The fires served both practical and symbolic purposes, gathering points for the community, sources of purification, and protective barriers against the uncertainties of winter. Then came the masks. This wasn't playful dress-up. This was survival. People disguised themselves as the very spirits they feared, hoping to confuse and repel the wandering dead. By hiding their true faces, they believed they could pass unnoticed through the night. This practice of guising in Scotland and parts of northern England dates back at least to the late Middle Ages and represents a direct continuation of Celtic terror of Samhain spirits. But fear alone wasn't enough. The living also sought to appease the returning spirits. Food and drink were left outside for wandering souls. Extra places were set at the dinner table for invisible guests. A spirit that felt neglected could bring misfortune upon the household. And because the veil was so thin, Samhain was considered the most powerful night for divination. Young people practiced various forms of fortune-telling, peering into mirrors by candlelight, trying to glimpse the face of their future spouse. Now, here's where history gets darker. While direct evidence is limited, some historical accounts suggest that Celtic Samhain rituals may have included animal sacrifices, and possibly even human offerings in extreme cases. The Roman historian Strabo and others reported that Druids conducted elaborate sacrificial ceremonies. Animals would be burned in wicker structures as offerings to the gods, their blood consecrating the threshold between worlds. Whether human sacrifice actually occurred remains debated among historians, But the Romans, who had their own brutal practices, were genuinely horrified by what they claimed to witness in Celtic lands. Archaeological evidence shows ritual deposits of valuable objects in bogs and lakes during this period, offerings to appease supernatural forces. The remains of elaborate feasts suggest communal gatherings where the boundary between sacred and profane, living and dead, was ceremonially acknowledged. These weren't simple harvest celebrations. They were desperate attempts to negotiate with forces beyond human control. Every ritual, from bonfires to disguises, from offerings to sacrifice, stemmed from one fundamental belief. On Samhain night, the normal rules of reality were suspended. The dead walked, spirits roamed free, and only through careful ritual could the living hope to survive until dawn. This primal terror, this liminal moment between worlds, this is the foundation upon which Halloween was built. When Rome conquered Celtic territories, they didn't simply crush local traditions. Instead, they did something far more cunning. They absorbed them. This strategy, called religious syncretism, allowed Rome to integrate conquered peoples by merging their gods and festivals with Roman equivalents. The Romans had their own festival of the dead, Feralia, celebrated on February 21st. On this day, families made pilgrimages to ancestral graves, bringing modest offerings, wreaths, grain, salt, bread soaked in wine, scattered violets. According to the poet Ovid, when Romans once neglected these rites during wartime, the angry dead rose from their graves, howling through the streets. Only when proper offerings were restored did the terrifying visions cease. Though Feralia fell in a different season, its theme, honoring deceased ancestors, resonated perfectly with Samhain's focus on the returning dead. Rome also contributed another layer, the festival of Pomona, goddess of fruits and orchards. Apples, sacred to Pomona, ripened in autumn and symbolized fertility, abundance, and romance. When Romans brought their apple cultivars to Britain, they merged Pomona's celebration with Samhain's harvest themes. From this fusion came apple bobbing, what seems like an innocent party game, but began as a sacred divination ritual. Young people would carve their names on apples, toss them in a barrel of water, and try to catch them with their teeth. The number of attempts predicted romantic fate. Success on the first try meant imminent marriage. Second try meant fleeting love. Third or more meant the relationship was doomed. Rome's genius wasn't in destruction, but in transformation. By the time Roman influence waned, Samhain had already begun its metamorphosis, absorbing new symbols, new meanings, while retaining its core identity as a night when the boundary between worlds grows thin. Faced with deeply rooted pagan customs that refused to die, the Catholic Church chose a brilliant strategy. If you can't eliminate them, baptize them. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III made a calculated move. He shifted the Feast of All Saints to November 1st, directly overlapping with Samhain. This wasn't coincidence. By placing a Christian celebration on top of the pagan festival, the Church made the new holiday more acceptable to recently converted Celts. Interestingly, this had precedent. In 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV had already consecrated the Roman Pantheon as a church honoring martyrs on May 13th, coinciding with the pagan festival of Lemuria. when Romans appeased restless spirits. Moving All Saints' Day to November 1st simply continued this policy of Christianizing death festivals. The name Halloween itself emerged from this Christian overlay. The night before All Saints' Day became All Hallows' Eve, the evening before All Hallows, Saints. Over time, this condensed to Halloween, and finally, Halloween. But the church did more than rename the festival. It reinterpreted the belief in wandering spirits. No longer were these potentially malicious entities, but rather righteous souls trapped in purgatory, awaiting prayers from the living to ascend to heaven. This theological reframing allowed popular beliefs about returning the dead to persist within Christian cosmology. From this emerged souling, a medieval practice where the poor, called soulers, went door to door during All Saints and All Souls days, November 1st to 2nd, begging for soul cakes. In exchange, they promised to pray for the donor's deceased relatives, helping souls escape purgatory faster. The church encouraged this as a Christian reinterpretation of pagan offerings to spirits. Instead of leaving food for ghosts, give alms to the living poor who will pray for your dead. The church couldn't erase Samhain's power. Instead, it built over it, like constructing a cathedral on pagan foundations. The ancient fear remained, but now wore a Christian mask. The story might have ended there, a quiet Christian festival observed in scattered European villages. But then came the Great Irish Famine of the 1840s. Millions of Irish and Scottish immigrants flooded into America, bringing Halloween with them. What had been a localized tradition exploded into a national phenomenon. In Ireland, people carved grotesque faces into turnips to ward off evil spirits. But in America, turnips were hard to find and difficult to carve. Enter the pumpkin, a native North American crop, large, soft, and abundant. Irish immigrants immediately recognized its potential. The jack-o'-lantern found its perfect form in American soil. The practice of guising, going door to door in costume, merged with medieval souling to create trick-or-treat. The phrase first appeared in print in the 1920s, possibly in Canada around 1917. By the 1950s, candy companies aggressively marketed individually wrapped sweets as the perfect Halloween handout. The ancient ritual of appeasing spirits transformed into children collecting candy. By the late 20th century, Halloween had become a commercial juggernaut. Today, Americans spend over $10 billion annually on Halloween, second only to Christmas. Stores stock Halloween merchandise as early as July. The spooky season now lasts nearly a quarter of the year. What began as a sacred Celtic festival has now become a global pop culture celebration, thriving in places with no Celtic heritage at all, from Japan to Germany and far beyond the Atlantic.
Now, listen to my story.
This happened in ancient Ireland, in an age when darkness held more secrets than light, and the devil walked freely among men. There lived a man named Stingy Jack, a drunkard cursed with a silver tongue and a mind too clever for his own good. When Satan himself came to claim his soul one moonless night, Jack dared to challenge the Prince of Darkness. Jack proposed one final drink before departing for hell. The devil agreed, amused by mortal audacity. But Jack claimed he had no coin and convinced Satan to transform into one. The moment the devil became silver, Jack snatched the coin and thrust it beside a silver cross in his pocket. Trapped, powerless, the Lord of Hell imprisoned by a drunk's trickery. Jack refused to release him until Satan swore not to claim his soul for 1 full year. 12 months later, Satan returned, fury burning in his ancient eyes. But Jack's cunning hadn't dulled. He lured the devil into climbing an apple tree, then carved a cross deep into the bark before Satan could descend. Once again, Hell's master found himself trapped by mortal wit. This time, Jack demanded an eternal promise. The devil must never, ever claim his soul. Satan had no choice but to swear upon his unholy name. Years passed. Jack died as all mortals must. His spirit rose to heaven's golden gates, but they slammed shut, his sins too great for paradise. Desperate, his soul descended into hell's burning depths. But the devil stood waiting, grinning with wicked satisfaction. The promise held. Jack's soul could not enter hell, yet heaven had rejected him. He was trapped between worlds, belonging nowhere, welcomed by neither God nor Satan. The devil, savoring his revenge, tossed Jack a single burning ember from hell's eternal flames to light his way through endless darkness. Jack carved out a turnip, placed the infernal coal inside, and began his eternal wandering, neither alive nor truly dead, neither saved nor damned. A restless spirit cursed to roam the shadows between worlds forever. The Irish called him Jack of the Lantern, Jack O'Lantern, a ghost without rest, doomed to walk until time itself ends. From Celtic terror to Christian feast, from Irish legend to American commercialism, Halloween has traveled through millennia, transforming with each culture it touched. But at its core remains that ancient truth the Celts understood. One night each year, the veil grows thin, and we must acknowledge what lies beyond. The jack-o'-lanterns still burn, the costumes still disguise, the offerings, now candy, are still given. Some traditions never truly die. They just learn to wear new masks,